The snake.
It's that Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. He talks a tough game.
And for you to think that you can pimp out our proud servicemen and women to the Prince of Saudi Arabia is disgraceful. And it once again shows that you are unfit to serve as our commander-in-chief.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
No. He's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it, but this is a guy who said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments.
There's nothing in our Constitution that gives you the power to go to war without the express consent of Congress.
This is the most important government job on the planet. We're about to turn over the conservative movement to a person that has no ideas of any substance on the important issues, the nuclear codes of the United States, to an erratic individual.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
My fellow service members and I, we are not your prostitutes. You are not our pimp.
Oh, how they're killing us. Let me count the ways. They kicked it off with an mRNA DNA changing engineered bioweapon, all at the same time of rolling out the 5G addition to cell towers, and priming the pump of death and disease was the geoengineered stratospheric aerosols being sprayed on all of us. By the time most of the American sheeple figure it all out, many of us and our loved ones will already be dead. Why did Donald Trump tell this same snake story over and over? It was confusing until I finally understood. The woman was the United States, and the snake is him.
The snake, on her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed that vicious snake. She wrapped him up, all cozy, in a comforter of silk, and she laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But I hadn't brought you in by now. You know you would have died." She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, the snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed that vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me. But why? You knew your bite was poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." The snake.
I would not intentionally spray my children or family with toxic aerosols, but as you must know, 80% or better do not have any family or children.
I have contacted the Virginia Pollution Control Board, National Weather Service, Oceana and Dam Neck military bases, NOAA, NASA, the Department of Defense, Brookhaven National Laboratory, the Department of Energy, the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, the Health Department, the Department of Travel, countless federal agents and operators, the Virginia Beach Police Department, and even the White House. all to no avail.
Indigo pilots are chosen from the top ranks within the Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. Most of the pilots are, quote, hardened to humanity, unquote, and could care less about killing off unwanted or leeching aspects of America and the world. I swear to you, the majority of the pilots are like machines. I call them tanker terminators. We are paid more than any other pilot for our service, other than Air Force One pilots, who make as much or more and are kept in a dark secret world for their own protection.
There is a rising international concern about the existence of airborne chemical spraying, bolstered by a growing body of scientific evidence. What is in the air that we are breathing?
A decade and a half into public radar, the fight against aerial geoengineering has shifted from fringe suspicion to a populist front line against unelected technocrats playing God with the atmosphere.
We're in a war. This is a war against me, you, our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. This is war raged upon us.
These programs consist of spraying tons of patented aerosol pollutants into our skies without public consent. This includes aluminum, barium, strontium, and more.
I don't want some creep ramming chemicals down my throat without my permission.
Pushback has finally reached the EPA and the HHS, now forced to at least pretend to look into it amid mounting state-level revolts. The Environmental Protection Agency established public reporting systems and launched dedicated web resources on contrails and geoengineering, claiming total transparency.
In the case of stratospheric aerosol injection, it's not like it's thoroughly studied, it's approved, it's trusted. Instead, you have people who just want to do it on their own, like try to get themselves someone to hand over $1 billion to just go dump a whole bunch of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. There are entities and people who would want to drastically scale these activities up.
In multiple states, including Florida, Tennessee, and Montana, legislation passed or advanced outright prohibiting weather modification and geoengineering, with bills in over a dozen other states demanding investigations into suspected atmospheric tampering. A federal Clear Skies Act proposal seeks to ban such activities nationwide, complete with EPA-led probes into public complaints.
And we have documents to prove the existence of these programs going back decades, documents hundreds of pages long. We have an 800-page U.S. Senate document from 1978 outlining the scope and scale of these programs then, specifically calling for intergovernmental cooperation, even between, quote, otherwise adversarial nations, because of the cross-border ramifications of these programs. You can't just geoengineer over your own country. Who's the biggest player? Obviously, the United States of America, because of the size of our military. The U.S. military has 3 times more aerial tankers, which are the primary aircraft used in these operations, 3 times more than all other militaries in the world combined.
Soil, water, and snow samples across the heartland still show anomalous metal spikes correlating with heavy spray days, while respiratory issues, brain fog, crop failures, and bizarre weather patterns fuel demands for real answers.
The amount of aluminum in our soil now is 5 times to 10 times higher than it was even last year.
They're now creating crops that aren't bothered by aluminum. It's like, okay, well, we're going to pump the skies full of aluminum. Then you're going to be forced to buy our aluminum-resistant seeds to survive, which is just crazy.
What began as bold vows to expose the aerial spraying of aluminum, barium, and strontium has been reduced to bureaucratic whispers. Kennedy's warnings of stratospheric aerosol injections and weather weaponization have been abandoned. Another knife in the back from those who swore they'd stand with the people against the globalist experiment over our heads.
The confidence game, commonly known as the con game, relies upon the exploitation of trust, hope, ego, and emotion, and is one of the oldest and most effective forms of deception known to man. Human beings are not naturally that suspicious. Starting in childhood, most are conditioned to trust and cooperate with one another. And we are hardwired to look for patterns that confirm our beliefs rather than challenge them. We are also more inclined to stick with our decisions, even when new, contradictory evidence arises. Some people live their entire lives oblivious to this. Some learn to rise above it, and others take advantage of it. According to psychologist Maria Kornikova's landmark study on the subject, there is a choreography that con artists have refined over centuries. The put-up identifies the mark. The play is when an emotional connection is built by mirroring the mark's values and gaining their confidence. The rope, the tail, the convincer, and the breakdown are various levels of getting the mark so emotionally invested that they begin to persuade themselves and rationalize away any doubt that may arise. The touch is the final grift, and the blow-off and fix is when the con artist exits. Rather than deal with the humiliation, the mark rarely reports what happened. The con game often uses fake participants, known as shills, to create the illusion of social proof. If others are participating, it appears more legitimate. People are more likely to join what looks to be the winning team. And most humans are demonstrably fooled over and over again by someone acting in a confident manner with impressive credentials and wearing expensive clothing. Most humans see this as somehow being trustworthy. But you don't have to be stupid to fall for the con. Studies show us that the victims of the con game are often successful and highly educated. The more intelligent the victim, the more complex they can rationalize away the red flags. The most susceptible to falling victim to the con game are those experiencing stress, loneliness, and isolation. Donald Trump's mentor, Roy Cohn, understood this better than most. In 1973, the U.S. Department of Justice sued the Trump Real Estate Organization for violating the Fair Housing Act for racial discrimination across 39 properties. Trump consulted Roy Cohn, who filed a $100 million countersuit against the federal government, asserting the charges were irresponsible and baseless. This countersuit was thrown out, and the Trumps lost, but there was no admission of guilt. Roy Cohn and Trump held a press conference and declared victory, and Trump learned his foundational lesson. You don't have to win in reality if you can win in perception. From 1973 until 1986, Trump and Cohn spoke 15 to 20 times per day, every day. Cohn advised Trump on real estate deals, marriage, and media strategy. The unwritten rules that Roy Cohn helped instill into the character of Donald Trump are 1. Never apologize, never admit wrongdoing. 2. Always counterattack and hit back harder. 3. Use the legal system as a weapon. 4. Manipulate the media. 5. Use fear as both shield and sword. And 6. Build a fortress of loyalty and punish disloyalty absolutely. Cohn's playbook didn't just work on business rivals and judges, it scaled to con millions of people. The mechanics of the confidence game are the same mechanics as the war propaganda we are seeing today. Confident lies that paint Muslims as less than human and deserving of violence. When under stress, the human mind prefers a target to blame over a complex explanation. And so scapegoating not only directs anger towards your desired target, it gives relief to the people because they no longer have to think, which leads people to celebrate cruelties they would otherwise find unthinkable. Mark Twain famously said, "It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled." Humility is a superpower that many people don't seem to fathom. The MAGA con worked because there are serious systemic problems with the U.S. government. And if you were conned by this, it is not a weakness, but ignoring it is. The most sophisticated people in history have been conned, and the most effective defense against the con is understanding the mechanics of your own mind and emotions.
My name's Kevin Modis. I'm with the California Brain Tumor Association, but actually collaborate with 10 other groups. One of the groups is emfscientist.org, emfscientist.org. That's 220 doctors and scientists from 39 countries who have looked at health effects from wireless radiation. And from their work and the work of others, we can clearly say that wireless radiation can cause cancer, neurological problems, immune system disorders, and reproductive harm. Clearly, our scientists, along with the other groups I work with, which are composed of people who are developing wireless health effects from their various sources. For instance, people developing brain tumors from their cell phone and the radiation emits. People developing neurological symptoms from the Wi-Fi, from school Wi-Fi. People developing neurological and cancerous health effects from simple smart meters. Smart meters being little wireless meters that are put on people's homes so that people don't have to come by and read the meter themselves manually. So regardless of the source, and cell towers are the most powerful source of wireless radiation emissions, regardless of the source, the health effects can be the same. So what brings me here today is the rollout of 5G technology. And people need to understand that 5G technology is very different from 2G, 3G, and 4G that preceded it. And that is because the wireless radiation is using a higher frequency. Our current wireless technology uses about 1 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz. This new 5G technology is ultra high frequency, ultra high intensity, and it's 24 gigahertz to 90 gigahertz. To put this in some type of perspective, 90 gigahertz is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second hitting your body. We know people are already getting sick from the lower frequencies, and we expect, that is our scientists expect, that these higher ultra high frequency microwaves are going to bring people to disease quicker and in a more intense form. The other problem with 5G technology is these microwaves are very short. So our old microwaves were about 2.5 to 3 feet long. These are now about 1 inch to half an inch long, and they don't travel very well. So they're going to have to put a little cell tower transmitter in front of about every 2 to 10 homes. Now this is a big problem because we know that cancer rates around regular cell towers are about 3 or 4 times what they normally should be. We also know that there's neurological symptoms that increase as you get closer and closer to a cell tower. Now these new transmitters are going to be placed close to people's homes. It's going to be continuous exposure as with other cell towers, but it'll be emitting a much more higher frequency, high intensity wireless radiation.
Ladies and gentlemen, not only are these 5G death towers going to double cancer rates in our country, they are going to be used to target individuals in a way never seen before. Since most people keep their smartphones on them like a tracking device, and since their political profiles are linked to their phones, it only makes sense that this is going to be an easy way to target people silently and without a trace. As you can see with these new 5G death towers, they are going to be focusing beams of high-frequency energy at a user's location. These 5G death towers are in fact particle beam weapons that can be aimed at people. These particle beams move at the speed of light and track you wherever you go. And in most cases, you'll be hit with particle beams coming from multiple directions. This truly is a national emergency, considering who controls this technology. You saw how the IRS was targeting conservatives. You saw how the FBI covered up the Las Vegas and Hillary investigations. Well, what do you think this beast system is going to do with Christians and conservatives on their networks? Zap, zap, and double zap. That's what. Have no doubt about it. These 5G death towers are bad news any way you look at it. So go to your city council meetings. Protest these bad boys from coming up in your neighborhood before it's too late. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.